Erik, take us back to yesterday afternoon. What's going on and what happens on the Parkway?
I was driving northbound on Parkway, got up on the Parkway around Route 70 exit, and when I was driving up on Parkway, I noticed that there was multiple vehicles driving northbound with their hazards on. I thought maybe it was like a funeral procession or something, but I saw the vehicles were scattered all over the road. And as we're traveling further north, I just kept my distance, and I saw a vehicle pulling off onto the side, left side of the road. Dust was coming up, and then the vehicle went back onto the roadway. So I thought maybe they were deciding to pull over, decided not to, maybe they were waiting for somebody. And the vehicle then started drifting off to the right side, went to the right shoulder, and then went pretty quickly off back to the left, started hitting some mile markers and some roadway signs.
Guardrail? Did it hit the guardrail at all?
Later on I found out they did hit a guardrail prior to. Eventually I was calling our Lakewood dispatch. They actually contacted the state police, patched us through a three-way call, and they actually said they got calls, numerous calls. I guess it started down south around exit 81, and we were probably in the mid-upper 80s by now. We were getting close to 195. The vehicles with this car hitting so many things, they were starting to surround the vehicle, and we were coming up to the 195 bridge, and the vehicles, nobody was talking to each other, but everybody started surrounding the car because it went once again off the shoulder, and they actually started positioning their cars all around it, and a couple people were yelling at their cars, telling the guy to pull over, and I wanted to make sure nothing happened because I didn't know if it was drug, medical reasons or what. So they started pushing the car over to the side of the road, telling them to pull over, and eventually they stopped. I took my ID out, I identified myself to the other drivers just so they were aware that I was a law enforcement officer. Then we approached the driver, spoke with the driver, and asked him what was wrong with him. And I saw that his eyes were very dilated. He kept like nodding out, and I asked him what was going on. He was like, really didn't know what he was doing. He was like, I was trying to pull over, and then changed my mind. And I guess he was realizing he was hitting things. And then from watching his motor skills and everything, I saw that he was stuttering, fumbling with things, and I asked him if he had anything to drink, and he admitted to me that he had been drinking earlier today.
Which was yesterday.
Correct.
So, what did he say? He had some beers? What did he say?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said I had some beers at home, and I relayed all that information to the state police through our dispatch center, and there was one of the vehicles that assisted in stopping. One of the ladies was EMS, so she started checking all his vitals to make sure that he was okay. She said that his blood pressure was very low, so we contacted Menck also to have advanced life supports on standby in case he needed any additional medical attention.
How old is this guy?
I believe he was about in the 60s.
He's in his 60s, okay.
Yes.
So were you among the drivers though who basically helped to box him in?
Yeah. All the vehicles were. I was within that whole same parameter going around the vehicle. I wouldn't consider myself being one of the lead vehicles that chose to do that type of maneuver.
But you were involved in the effort to try to get him to pull over.
Yes, that's correct. I would say there was probably at least minimum 6 vehicles that were involved. I was amazed how well everything worked, and especially with no communications. I know we have other officers here that have done that with people having medical issues, and I got to say it was really amazing seeing that many people pulling together and really putting a stop to this possible tragic situation.
Yeah, that was my next question. What did you think about the effort that these regular civilians undertook to get this guy to get off the road?
I think that was the most important thing. I was amazed to see everybody coordinating, pulling together. So many times when we deal with things, people don't want to get involved. And I just think it's really important if you want to change in life, you need to get involved. People need to step up and take charge in their own lives and what's going on around them.
How dangerously was he driving? How dangerous a situation could this have been?
definitely fatal. I used to be a part of our fatal accident unit, and this is a prime example of what would happen and what transpires out there day in and day out, that people are in risk, as well as law enforcement officers, and even just people walking on the side of the roads. It's very dangerous.
Did he say anything other than, he had been drinking earlier? Did he put up any resistance or anything like that?
Nothing at all. We left them seated in the car. One of the people actually, I believe it might have even been the lady that was EMS, she actually reached in through the passenger side and grabbed the keys from the ignition. There was actually another gentleman in the pickup truck that was, I think he was one of the most instrumental. He was actually blocking and yelling out of the car for the guy to pull over and motioning, and I think that helped everybody coordinate, that they weren't going to stand by anymore. They were going to stop this guy, And everybody was definitely putting themselves at risk, especially right before the holidays, Never mind, this is 6 people, how many other people drove by? And there was a guardrail on the left-hand side, so that's why the maneuver was able to work. Otherwise, he would have went off the embankment. And, we're right by a bridge, so very easily he could have went down the embankment to the next highway down there.
So what kind of an example is this as to the dangers of drinking and driving, especially this time of year? What kind of message do you have to folks?
It's not worth risking yourself, life of neighbors. If you feel the effects of alcohol, you shouldn't be driving. There's enough people that are willing to give you a ride, paying for a cab or stay at your friend's house or wherever you are. Even if you go to the bartenders or the owners of a restaurant, if that's where you're at, I'm sure anybody would be willing to pay for a cab just to make sure everybody's safe and has a safe holiday.